I recently had a telephone conference call with a couple that began with a complaint by the husband, Daryl. He said this, quote, "I've been practicing real love for more than a year now, and it's made quite a difference in my life. I'm happier at home, at work, everywhere. But my marriage is another thing. Don't misunderstand, our marriage is better, but my wife just isn't growing. She says she wants us to be happier, but she doesn't do any of the things that real love prescribes. She won't make any real love calls, for example, so she can tell the truth about what a victim she is. So, how can she expect to ever feel unconditionally loved? She says the calls don't make any sense, so she just wants to do the work with me. The problem is, the minute I try to talk to her about her victimhood or her anger, she blows up at me and the conversation is over." End quote. His wife's name is Robin, and she wasn't about to let all that go. She said this, quote, "When he talks to me about being angry or being a victim, he's not very nice, and then it's pretty hard to listen to him." End quote. So I asked Daryl, "When Robin gets angry at you, how do you feel?" "I hate it," he said. "I'm sure you do," I said. "You hear her say, 'I don't love you,' just like your parents and many others have said to you over a lifetime. And then you feel empty and alone and afraid. Wouldn't that pretty much sum it up?" He said, "Yep." "So when we get afraid," I said, "without thinking about it, it's almost guaranteed that we defend ourselves. I know that part of you is trying to teach Robin the real love principles, but part of you is also defending yourself. So you're almost certainly irritated while you're pointing out her mistakes. Robin, is that what you're describing?" Robin said, "Yes." "Unfortunately," I said, "Robin then feels more unloved and protects herself even more. She gets even angrier. Like you said, she blows up and the conversation is over. Everybody loses. So what can we do here? The first question is determining whether both of you really want to be happier and want to improve your marriage." They both said they did. So I continued. "In that case, Robin, you have to begin the process of telling the truth about yourself somewhere. Daryl already has people he does this with. You don't. You do not have to talk to people on the phone or go to groups, as Daryl does. It seems like telling the truth to Daryl would be the only choice left then. So, what would you like to do? It's entirely up to you." Now, Robin then said that she chose to tell the truth to Daryl, and I explained that her justifications that she had not been making calls because the calls didn't make sense to her were really just excuses. I said this, "You've read the books, you've seen Daryl make the calls. The reason you haven't made the calls is because you've simply been afraid to make them. And I completely understand that fear. I was afraid to make them myself in the beginning. In the beginning, telling other people the truth about our flaws is scary." Robin agreed that this was true, and I congratulated her for taking advantage of this first opportunity to tell the truth about herself in our conversation. We'll continue this interaction in our next session.